Okay, guys, haven't done much with this thing throughout the week. Didn't do much. I finished my little hatch for the attic here. I'm going to put some plastic on the top side of it just to kind of give it a little bit more seal, and hopefully it'll retain a little more heat this year. But I really have to kind of seal along these edges here because that's actually open right up to the top level. So it's kind of a bit of a significant amount of heat loss. Put it this way, the area of that open is probably not any greater than the area of the whole edging all the way around the perimeter of this shop. So I've got to really deal with that. I don't know if I'll stuff some insulation in there. I don't know how much I have lying around. But in any case, I got to do something. I might just do plastic. Plastic is the easiest thing to do, just stapling it up. But anyways, back to the truck. And I've been thinking about the truck, thinking about the truck. And this view pisses me off because I can't believe that I didn't see this dent in the brand new fender, but regardless, I'll live with it. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with this. Now, Slow SRT had suggested that I put the cowl on first, and I'm just in the process of taping up the edges. I did test fit it on. I kind of banged things up a little bit, but not too bad. So I'm going to put some tape on this, put some tape on these edges, and see how it goes. Now the cowl is what the cowl was telling me with that first fitting was that this fender needs to come out a lot, which is consistent with what I've seen before. They oftentimes have a lot of shims in here, like certainly 3 or 4, you know, well, total. So you're really not helping much, are you? Oh, don't climb in that way into the truck. If you want to climb in the truck, the other door's open. Anyways, I was trying to figure out what was going on this week, and I'm not 100% sure that I was right. Like, in one of the last videos I did on the truck, I said that I had to enlarge the hole in this fender bracket here so that it would sit down lower. And what I was wondering about is if the fender was actually, you know, if you want to visualize it, crushed vertically so that this bow was much more pronounced. Furnaces or fire. Blowtorch had to start now, couldn't give me enough time. Anyways, and I was wondering about that, because that almost looks consistent with what I'm seeing here, where it's sitting at the right distance here, but this is tucked in at the top, and where this has a lot more pronounced curvature to it. Now I don't have a profile gauge, so I can't really check the front to back to see if it's any different there or not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a spare fender I've got, an original fender, and try and fit that and just see how different it looks. So maybe I'll do that before I try and mess around too much with the cowl, just so I get some idea what's going on. Okay, so I'm not sure that I answered any questions about putting this original fender on. It's just puzzled me a little more. It fits a little better at the bottom, but it's almost like this trim line is actually sitting back further than it should be. You know, obviously, you know, like makes more sense because it looks like it would want a couple of shims here for it to match up about right. But then that puts that trim line fairly far back. So I'm not sure that I answered any questions by putting this fender on. So I'm going to take it off. I think what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to very gently try and flatten out this contour on this edge here, and see if I can make it more closely resemble the door. And I'm going to have to call it good at that, because I don't think there's much more I could do without redoing a bunch of the paint and body work. So, and I'm not going to do that. That's simple as that. I'm not going to do that. You know, it's a compromise I'm willing to take or make or whatever. Okay, I took the fenders off because I wanted to get a look at just the cowl and how that was going to fit. And yeah, is the best answer I can say. You know, it's not great. Gap here is pretty big. Otherwise, everything else is fine. You know, body line matches up, but that gap there is a little bit larger than I would have liked. And This side I think is actually much better than that. A little better, I guess. But in any case, you know, it fits, but I couldn't get it to fit properly when the fenders were on. I think it's getting a bit of interference with these brackets here, so I might just have to see where it's hitting. Because it might be that these need to get the corners knocked off of them or something like that. Okay, so I'm working on aligning the passenger side because I think it's the side that I'm going to have less problems with. The contours are all looking pretty good. I ended up kicking out this fender with about two shims to bring it out more so that the cowl would fit better and there'd be a reasonably good gap there. The door, because the door was set prior to me really setting up this fender, it's kind of tucked in a bit, but I should be able to just bring it out this way a bit, and then everything should be good. Now my door gaps at the front are probably, they're acceptably wider than here, but I can't really move the door forward because there's an issue right up in this corner. So I don't think I'll be adjusting the door in that direction, but I will be bringing it towards me at the front here. Now I just have to make sure. I did have two shims at the bottom, and I just took one out, and I'm thinking that I probably will have to put it back in because if this door swings out like that, then it's not going to match at the back very well. So I'll probably have to put that shim back in, but we'll play that as I see it. You know, at that point, I think what I'm going to try and do right now is I'm going to take the cowl back off because you have to get the top bolts in. But I'm going to try and get the front driver fender where I want it, and then I'll work out, you know, how I want to set up things after that point. But so far I'm not completely, you know, freaked out about this whole situation. I've dinged up my paint. I chipped the paint in a couple of places where the tape is. So I'll probably be touching it up. I don't know how I'm going to touch it up because it's kind of tucked in underneath there, but we'll see how it goes. If I go in there with a paintbrush, then that's what I'll do. One thing I just forgot to mention that you might have noticed is that I did put the jack underneath it, and it's just lifting up slightly on the cab support to compensate for the slight twist in the frame. When everything is all bolted together and is where I want it, then, you know, like I'll tighten down all the cab mounts and we'll go from there. It might close up some of these gaps more than I'd like, but I think it'll work okay. Okay, last update for today. I think I've got it all about where I want it. Gap is a little wide for my taste. And if you look at it like this, it looks really awful, but that's because the door is so much further in than the fender. I've got two shims here, and one normal shim and two thin shims up here, so I think I need to maybe swap that around a little bit to tighten up this gap here and bring the fender in just a bit. But no matter what, the door is probably going to have to come out some. Actually, if you look at that, that's actually pretty close to being where you want it to be if the fender isn't meeting it. Yeah, still some more work to be done, but I think that's it for today. So later, guys.